Okay, this is a Maui taken off. So come on, Kassad, where you going with this?
Usually I would just ask him if he's insane.
Yeah, of course.
But the thing is, like, I kind of agree with him.
Oh my God, okay, right. Let me just buckle in then. Okay, come on. Here at Hot Take Point Made, the name itself should be self-explanatory. We take hot things and then intuit the point that's being made within them. And why would you have that hot take? But the thing is, if you're someone who smokes cannabis products, you're probably just taking it for granted that you have to have hot, irritating smoke in your lungs in order to experience the chemicals such as THC within cannabis that you enjoy, that get you high, that give you a fun sensation, or maybe the CBD elements that calm you down a little bit, chill you out, remove some of the anxiety, all that jazz. Basically, if you're someone who's in that position, you might be like me and take it for granted. Like, it just has to be the way it is. You just associate smoke in your mind with that. But actually, I can tell you as someone, believe it or not, who has smoked many different types of weed and with different types of instruments even, not like clarinets and stuff, you know, look into it. In fact, you look on the Freeze Pipe website, they have bobblers, dabs, oil rigs. The joke I always make there is, shout out to evil geniuses for the oil rigs. Think about it, sh1ro, right? Anyway, but that's one where basically, if you take a freeze pipe, though, which is a special type of bong that has a food-safe glycerin chamber, and you put the food-safe glycerin chamber into the freezer for a mere 1 hour, so about the time it takes... Joke is like between maps on an Ellenberg. we all know the jokes. We all know the jokes, but let's get away from the jokes and get back to this. Because, by the way, the jokes will flow once you smoke the freeze pipe. You'll be giggling away. So what you do is, once you put it in there for a mere hour, it cools the smoke by over 300 degrees. Now, that's more cooled off than Evil Genius's team for the last 3 years of Counter-Strike, guys. It's practically Arctic temperatures. So when you do this... You get to turn your cannabis smoking experience into a cannabliss smoking experience. Use the code LFN at thefreezepipe.com for 10% off. There you go. Here's the thing, boys. You never thought one of these shows would start with a real bong chamber ad in the beginning, did you? Now, I won't lie. It's not like it would have been impossible to guess. Like, if we'd have had this show 2 years ago and you were like, hot take, Thorin will be sponsored by a bong manufacturer. Not like that would be the craziest thing. No, like Kassad wouldn't be like, are you insane? Are you out of your mind? Why would you have Thorin? No way. Like, it's not like he'd do that, to be fair. But anyway, yeah, thanks to the freeze pipe. Right, we're into the show, boys. So who wants to start off? Who was bringing the initial heat to this equation? By the way, we don't always have to go like mildest to strongest, obviously, but who's got one to start off with? I've got an all right one that sort of ties together some interesting points that have been made previously, but I think I've got the angle for it. So do you have one, Kassad? You don't usually start off, so come on, hit us with it first.
I have a couple of them. It's nothing too spicy, it's just like, you know, a little bit, okay. You know, take it easy. But I want to say, like, I was looking at the past events of Cloud9 and, you know, all these things that happened and, like, the fact that they're not playing the major. And I can say that...
Unusual to have some Cloud9 slander on this show, but okay.
I can say that sh1ro right now is the best player in the world.
Oh, okay. Best, just flat, not up, just best player, best player in the world. Okay.
Right now, no contest. I don't think right now Simple is on his level. Nico is not on his level. sh1ro is not on his level. Nobody's on his level right now, and this is a true crime that he is not gonna be at the last major to actually kind of try to cement my point here. And the fact that, you know, that he has like an ass of a team right now, and the decision making the team has been making in the past, whatever, 6 months to a year, is resulted that the best player in the world right now is not going to be at the major, and he's probably not going to, you know, live up to that potential this year to be the number one when the year ends, simply because the fact that they're not going to be, you know, in the actual major. So, I mean, counterpoint would be if he's the best player in the world, then, you know, 12-3 lead against Cloud9, against Vitality on the CT side. You should be able to close the game by yourself, but sadly, the Counter-Strike doesn't work that way anymore, and you cannot win the games by yourself, no matter who you are. You can say that with Simple, with Nico, with sh1ro, like, you just can't do it, and it's just not his fault whatsoever. I do believe that right now, if you look at I just rewatched their games, and I rewatched his game, not Cloud9. Nobody should watch Cloud9 games, but like you should watch sh1ro's game, right? The things that he does, the timings that he gets. Creates for himself, not gets. He creates them for himself. The shots that he takes, the decision making is 85 to 90% always right, and that's for me is like, you know, something that not many players can do right now. And for me, like that qualifies him. One of those things that qualifies him as the best player in the world.
The first thing I'll say is that I've got sh1ro as the best player in the world right now. I think that what he's doing with Vitality, I'd say this, you either take one or the other. You take my take from last time, that was Apex is a top 5 IGL, and that's why Vitality are doing so well, or sh1ro is the best player in the world and he's carrying them. So I think right now I'm actually kind of leaning more towards sh1ro than sh1ro. I think that if you're I think that with sh1ro right now, the thing that what's so annoying about this all, though, to move away from that point, is just that, again, this brings me all back to the whole Nafoni conversation, though. Again, it just makes me think about their structure, how if you do have the best player in the world, kind of why can't you have him just win the game on his own? Like, why can't you use this guy efficiently enough to get you to a major against teams that they otherwise should have? I mean, the phase loss is one where I think you got to see under the magnifying glass how this system fails so many of the players other than sh1ro, because CT side, Axile was a beast in the series. He had 102 ADR. T side, he had 67 and was 13 and 23. And so, like, sh1ro did very well, to your point, Kassad, in this series, but I think that it is still such a shame that he's on a team that has such a flawed system. Like, tell me any of the other top 5 IGLs in your eyes wouldn't get the best player in the world to the major. I just don't see that happening.
It's just, you're right. Like, I'm not opposing you on the fact that, like, the team around sh1ro is just terrible. Right, the IGL is obviously Nafani is just someone that needs to be either removed from that role or removed completely from the team, because like he has that piece, even with Exile, who is not being like on top of his level, but he should be enough, not just to get to the major, but like let's look at the game against Vitality. You are 10-0 up, 12-3 on the T side of your best map. You're going into the better side of that map, and you can't close it out. So something is wrong. The timeouts that you are asking, like doing, the adjustments that you are making are not good. Like it's just something that you should not be allowed to, repeat ever again, simply because you would get fired and just replaced, and you don't have the chance to ruin it again. You had your chance. You had multiple chances on multiple events, multiple months, seasons. You didn't deliver. It's time for you to move on and for us to get a new IGL, because we have the best player in the world and we have the top 5 player in the world. Around that, we can build something, either that or just sell the fucking team and just, but that's another point.
I don't actually believe what I'm about to say. Believe it or not, sometimes I say things for entertainment or to shit stir, I believe the dictionary term is. But you could technically say, because we have roasted Maui about all his takes being so bad in like reality right afterwards. To be fair, after the Apex one, they did win a tournament. And also, this is the shit stirring part, they did technically have one of the greatest vertigo T sides of all time on a very CT sided map. And he did like inspire and sort of like amuse, draw out a 39 kill performance from Dupree that was like a flashback to the old. So in some ways, isn't Apex actually the best IGL? No, anyway, whatever. That's just a joke. That's not even a take. Bring it back to the actual thing about sh1ro. I actually can see what you mean. The problem, obviously, sh1ro has is his team, it's basically the same things sh1ro had until just this last tournament. His team just doesn't get him to the finals that often. So even if he was the best, people usually won't give you the credit because they'll say some shite like Kassad said, like, well, why didn't you win the match if you were the best? Which is just always going to be the refrain, I'm afraid. It's why actually in Counter-Strike, the joke is, even though people themselves as fans usually fight against the one-man carry on the lesser team, they always expect you to be that player if you are the best player. That's the silliest thing about it. Like, they don't really actually incentivize and reward being like a Cold Zero or an Olaf, like in a system but the best player. They don't really reward that, because if you don't have the system, therefore they can't be that player, so you just automatically, your players erased. I would just say the eye test definitely checks out for sh1ro. And one of the things actually I think in the modern day, because people will know statistically Simple's getting right back up to where he used to be, he's coming to the top again, he looks like he's actually going to end the game in another battle maybe. But I'll tell you what, if you actually watch Simple's game, he whiffs all the fucking time now. Like, one of the things I used to say made Simple like beyond goated with the AWP, in my opinion, was he would fire as fast as anyone, but he had like one of the best hit rates of anyone too. It's like, bro, you're normally as an AWPer, you pick. You either go really like, you go like slow and steady, or you go like fast flicky, but you like move around a lot and you just hope you sort of get like a streak of nice shots. Well, but here's the joke, guys. What Simple used to do, that is just sh1ro's game now. Mate, if you ever see people just come after this guy, he not only probably has the fastest firing speed, it's got to be up there, it's so fast, but mate, his hit rate is ridiculous. It's so rare he whiffs. And mate, I'm talking about whiffs on just normal. Like, if he actually takes hard shots, even he hits them. He's that guy where if you like peek the headshot angle as a rifler against him, he just kills you, mate. He just shoots you straight in the head. So I do think a lot of his game is CT side. Now, look, you can say some of that's because of Nafani. I'm with you on that angle. But like on CT side, he might be the best player in the world. He's like, if you try going to his site, mate, this is the guy where, like, this is another thing that reminds me a bit of Old Simple. It's like when you come to his position and he gets the first kill, in your brain, it's like you think you're watching the Frag movie already and you're like, oh, he gets the next two as well. And it's like, oh, wait, this is reality that he just does, like almost every time. Like, that's why, by the way, just as an aside, I'll actually bring up the map I referenced, Vertigo. I actually think, low-key, the reason that is one of his best maps is because since there is nowhere to retreat to and the team can't make some sort of stupid call, you basically on CT side just sit in the bomb sites and wait to take fights with T's. It just means that it just shows you his raw skills are fucking mental. Like, if you try attacking his site, mate, he'll get kills all day long on that ramp. Like, he'll just kill everyone who comes up. So I think, yeah, he's absolutely phenomenal. The only thing to me, and in fact, I even agree with Kassad's point there as well. I did think when he first came on the scene in Gambit, which now you have to remember is like 3 years ago or something ridiculous, he was maybe like a bit more GM-esque, like a bit too overly defensive then. I actually think now Kassad's nailed it. The real problem is his team's not good enough. If his team was the best team, he would be actually compared to like Device, I think, because Device used to be fantastic at like decision making on when to save, when to go to a spot, how to hold it, which angle to. I always thought he was like, just that's the area he just nailed. So in some ways, sh1ro has that modern day element. I don't think I would maybe say he's the best player myself. I think it's just, if you're doing the conversation, he's in the 2 or 3 names that are in there. I'd probably go with sh1ro too, was quite frankly since he's won as well. But I think it's a legit convo. Yeah, I don't have any problem with it. I think it's a good take. Right, I've got one, and it sort of ties together some of the opinions of the past, but I've got a good angle for it, which is this. I actually thought of doing this a few episodes ago, but Maui said a similar thing on the last episode, I know, because it's the take we've often discussed about NAVI and how Bit works in that team. I actually do think you can phrase it like this. NAVI 2021 Bit was just Blade. It wasn't even Bit as far as I can tell. I know the story goes, no, what happened was Bit was a phenom on LAN, and then once he got going, like he just couldn't be stopped, and he had the best M4A4, whatever that shite everyone says. Oh, and then Simple Electronic would cut. Here's the reason why I say that, because I'll give a very brief history lesson for people who don't know the old days of CSGO. The reason why the player Flamey was hyped to the heavens in NAVI for like 6 years, even though if you started watching after the first couple of years, you'd be like, why do they always hype him? Doesn't he just have like the odd map that's good? And you'd think to yourself, why do people like Sponge always bring him up? Yanko, they always say like, he's the X Factor, like he could go, you'd go, why do they do that? Because if you remember the beginning of when Flamey joined NAVI was when Starix was the IGL, but he was the coach, and and at the time, the rules were you could talk all the time. And since in that team, think it through, they had people like fucking Edward and Simple, not Simple, sorry, Guardian, Seized, all these people like veterans, people around there. See, basically, I was told Starix was able to essentially just micro Flamey. He could just focus on him completely in the game because they had the tactical system that they would run. Basically, the team, as far as I know, ran off a Guardian. He sort of like triggered whatever they did in the game, basically. And then basically, if you think about it, you could essentially assign some of this IGL, because he's not actually playing in the game, you could assign some of his sort of brain power to help him Flamey sort of be in position, know his timing, help with people, like help with utility and stuff. And then what happened, if people don't know, is when they took away that aspect with the coaching rules changes in 2016, Flamey just became like about 75% as good a player and never got back there again. He just spent the rest of his career as this weird figure. And the joke is the parallels are crazy, guys. Like, it's basically the same fucking player, because if people don't know, it was like, oh, we have fucking, at the time it was Guardian and people like that, and then you needed Flamey to be the one who stepped up to like make us win the game. That's what Bit's whole fucking role in NAVI is, but you see he doesn't do it. So rewind, go back to 2021 when Bit came into this team. By the way, ironically replacing Flamey, literally replacing Brookie. We'll put that to one side. When he came into this team, the rest of the team set, boys. Like, think about it. You don't have to tell anything simply. He's the best player probably ever at the time. You had Electronic, who was really good, and it was actually, we could see, it was just he needed to get to land, basically. Just online calling isn't the same, Then you had fucking Boomich, who, look, for as much as I'll diss him as a player, He clearly had his own ideas about how to play. You never probably had to tell this fucking guy to do. The joke is he spent 90% of his career just fucking peeking that little wall on Inferno B banana with a fucking MP9 or something, didn't he? Like, wasn't that his whole career as far as I can remember? And then every Mirage T site was just in with the Mac 10 just running on A site or something like, what are you me playing matchmaking when I'm high boomage? This is mental. And he's like, well, hi, I'm what Thorin? No, anyway, we'll leave that joke one side. Put that to one side. We don't read Telegram around here. There's a lot of rumors and bullshit on there, guys. Don't believe everything you see nowadays. So basically, like, and then you had Perfecto, who, let's be real, is actually one of the best players to just come into a team and find their role completely. Electronic and Simple are already there. You've only got Bit left. So if you are Blade, and remember, guys, when he first came in the team, they were online, so you could fucking talk as the coach. Like, all I'm going to say is this. Like, I imagine Blade put a lot of his time into Bit and figured out how do we use him and shape him, and I brought him from the academy squad. So I can see, like, that all makes a lot of sense as to why he was great that first year. And then to pick up, basically, Maui made the point on the last one. The problem is, after that, especially since they've had the SDY thing and then NPL and this drama with the IGL and Electronic has to become it does seem as though they thought it was one of those ones like where they didn't realise being a coach in IGL's like spinning plates. They were like, right, that's plate spinning, so don't worry about that one. It's sorted already. And it's like, sorry, Blade, believe it or not, the Bit plate fell a fucking while ago, mate, and it's never got back up there. And if you saw the recent tournaments, look, you can flame like Simple Whiffing or Electronic. Bit just never fucking performs nowadays, guys. He's just a bang average player. It's really sad because you'd never believe this was like the Flamey example. You'd never believe this was the guy from 2021 who was actually like, I mean, I'll bring this up again. Even though they were wrong because they were forgetting Ziwu, people were calling this guy the greatest rookie in the history of Counter-Strike. Do you remember that? That was the real take. Even on desks, people were trying to push that angle. So yeah, there's the general take. Thoughts, everyone?
So yeah, I mean, I've kind of had a pretty similar conclusion to this because even when I was watching Bit in his prime, when he first came to Navi, it always felt like you could really map out very obviously when you watch his demos, like what he's going to do next. And it was almost like, to me, it felt like a very consistent flow chart. Like overpass A rifler, I find to be one of the positions where you should be like the most creative as a rifler or should just have the most like fluid rotations between your positions. But actually Bit was not really like a lot of other A riflers. Like you think of Rain and how he'll just like push at a random time, he'll like take some more space back, but like Bit was basically like he'll start a party, he'll like try to get one fight, then he'll like go to divider, maybe try to get one fight, and then he'll kind of just play back into the site. And sometimes him and Simple would reaggress, but it was very rare that Bit would just like push for no reason or like just kind of off of a feeling. And I think that was very much by the design of Blade and what they were doing on that map. I'm sure it went to other maps as well because you kind of just watch him and it just feels like these staged moments in a round for him that he was following to a T. And so I think people started figuring out sort of around the time where they were switching IGLs to Electronic, basically like, okay, we know what Bit's going to do every single round, and they've never reinvented Bit's playbook. And so, yeah, this is a point that I've kind of just been considering because like now like sure, Blade can say that Electronic is a better IGL than Boomich, but it's like you're still holding his hand a lot more. You're still also helping NPL a lot, surely, and that's why Bit has fallen off so much. So you look at his basically. You look at the LAN ratings for Bit pre-Electronic Boomich shift, and he never dropped beneath a 1.00 rating, and he's had 2 in the time since Electronic became the in-game leader. And that's not, and I'm not even just going to necessarily blame Electronic or like NPL. I think it's just like he needed a lot of help. Like Bit needed to be told what to do. He needed to be almost game plan for specifically, because you could obviously, if you're Blade, just say Simple, Electronic, you guys know what you're gonna do. Boomich, you know the system we're running. Perfecto, obviously also he's just like filling in the gaps here and there. But Bit's the guy that he put a lot of focus in before, and now that he doesn't get to, it's not the same.
I don't even know where to start. There's so many wrong things that you guys said. Just...
Come on, well, just make a list and hit it all. Come on, baby.
So many things. Now the thing is, first of all, Bit and Flamey just can't compare in any universe at all. At all. Like Bit is 10 times more skilled, 10 times sharper, 10 times the player that Flamey ever was in terms of like understanding and making the rotations, getting the kills, getting the headshots, whatever. Right? He's just. They're not even close to each other. The other thing is obviously Blade has the credit for getting Bit into the system, getting Bit from the academy team, getting him, the way he was in 2021. But that's all. Like, and also his fault is that Bit is not playing well simply because they changed his spots, right? When Boomic was sacked and Electronic was brought into the IGL, they changed a couple of spots, and once that happens, I've been in teams we changed a couple of player spots multiple times, and they become a different player. Like, it doesn't really matter if you hold their hands or you tell them what to do. Sometimes they become a different player because that's a natural role for them, unnatural rotations from them, unnatural game for them. They cannot read the game the same way they do in the different spots. They are not providing the same informations, they did in the other spots. It's just very difficult. And that's not making him a bad player. He's just making him a player that not very versatile. And you don't need 5 versatile players. You just need a specialist for that role, and he's good and the best in the world on that one. That's fine. I'll take it. But if I put him in a role that he's uncomfortable with, and then I complain that he's not playing well, then it's my fault. It's not his fault. That's all it is, right? And then you just put him back where he was, and he's gonna perform well on that position. Now, Navi as a team is just like the bad decisions are like one after another. I used to give a lot of credit to Blade, and I still think he's one of the best coaches like in the CS right now. But like some of the decisions with this SDY and then NPL and all these things, like, so unnecessary. Changing the spots of the players, changing the IGL because they have to. But just imagine the scenario where they didn't sell m0NESY. They were like smart enough to keep m0NESY and put him on the op role and play simple, give him the freedom to do whatever the fuck he wants. Like, he can be the rifle / secondary op, right? Imagine Mirage. Just imagine Mirage. If I'm Blade, I'm just imagining Mirage here. I have m0NESY holding middle, right? He is the middle guy on CT side. And then I have Electronic and fucking Simple playing different kind of setups. Let's start 2 connector, no people on short, right? Let's start 2 short. Let's go aggressive A, because I have m0NESY to cover middle, and I have Simple to cover connector / short / ramp / B, whatever the fuck he wants to do. The same goes with Inferno. You want to play 2 ops on CT side of Inferno? Feel free. Send m0NESY back to B, and let Simple take A and rotate all over the place. Go aggressive holes, go aggressive bracket, go back to side, go back, play double pit with Electronic or Bit or whoever, right? And then it's like, there's so many options, right? You can just organize. If Electronic is, as good as IGL as Blade says, that would work even better then. But they sold him for 600k. They made some money. Now they're suffering the consequences of that, and it's just a little bit of dysfunctional team. And I do blame Blade for that, and probably some of the org, because we don't know who is making the decisions there. It appears to be Blade when it comes to the lineup changes, but we don't know. Maybe it's Simple, maybe it's the org, maybe we don't know, right? So overall, I do believe that the swaps of the roles and the dysfunctional system they have right now took a toll on Bit, and he just couldn't perform the same way he did. I think that's on Blade. Like, not the fact that like he's not holding his hand anymore and just telling him what to do, or he doesn't tell him what to do. I think it's just the fact that they fucked up in the lineup and now they're suffering for it, right? So they need a little bit of restructuring right now. NPL started playing a little bit better, but I don't think that's not a teammate that Simple needs, right? That's how I put it. He needs somebody like just imagine, compare this m0NESY theory with NBA reference when Michael Jordan was coming up, and then we have Magic Johnson in the Lakers, and like, it's like he can be his like mentor in a way, and then like he can look up to Simple, and just they obviously Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson didn't play in the same team, but we can make this happen. Sure. We could have made this happen in Navi, but it didn't happen. Obviously, never will, most likely, and I don't know what Navi is going to do, but it's certainly not Bit's fault that he's playing weaker than he was in 2021. Not entirely his fault. I would blame that on whoever made the decision to change his spots, whoever made the decision to bring SDY or MPL or whatever, right? So that's my take on it.
It's your take, I think, Maui.
Yeah. I could take one here. So this one, okay. I'll preface this with I didn't know where to put them exactly, because I don't want to make it too mild of a take where everybody's just going to be like, oh, that's obvious. And I also still want to retain some of my credibility by not going overboard and just bumping this team up way too high too quickly. But you know what? It is hot take point made. So let's just run with this. I think 9, even though that they are in the challenger stage right now, they're gonna make the playoffs of the major. They're gonna make the playoffs. That's where I'm going with this one. All right.
Okay.
All right. And I already said, it's I think okay. I'll say bare minimum, they make it to the legend stage. I don't think that's a question at all. Or
that's top 16 for Boot.
They are legend.
I think they are legend. They are legend. I think they are. I think they're definitely making the.
Hold on.
You've nailed that
cool.
one already.
I'm already right.
Not much of a hot take, but that one. So.
No. So I think they're gonna make it to the playoffs. No, what I was debating with was like, should I say they're gonna go like 2-3 minimum? But like, it's just not even a fun take to say that. So they're gonna make playoffs. I have them making playoffs, and the reason that I have them making playoffs is that. Few things. One, I just love this team. They remind me a lot about like Gambit youngsters, Gambit when they were grinding in the online era. They played something like 100 maps in the last few months, and this team. So like one, they're just super. They're like bred by the online system of just getting all these reps in and officials over and over and over again. And two, I love the style that they play. To me, it reminds me of Heroic. They're kind of like Heroic's little brother is how I characterize them, because they're just super active on the maps that they're good at. They're always throwing new plays at opponents. They're always trying something new. And when I was talking even to pros at ESL Pro League, they also recognize 9 as a team that people are like tier 1 teams are stealing strats from 9. Like 9 are a team that is bringing so much new stuff to the table all the time. And it's like, I think you guys know at this point, I have a fetish for just new stuff, new plays. Like that's why I was hyped on Big for such a long time, is just like, okay, I see that they're running new plays, but are the players of the caliber necessary to actually lift them beyond just like, a cheeky play here and there? Because sometimes it does come down to the players. And that's where you would draw into question, can 9 actually make it to the playoffs? And I think that they will, because the BO1 format is going to help them a lot, because their map pool is very good. If they get down to a single map on these BO1s, I have no reason to believe that they should have difficulty, because they really, in my opinion, only have two maps that they shouldn't go to. They have their permaban, which is Inferno. Obviously, they're not going to be going there. And I also think they shouldn't be going to Ancient. And I think at that point, they can kind of play with their map pool, because I think their Vertigo, their Nuke, and their Overpass are very good. Like, they have 3 very good maps, and I wouldn't necessarily, I don't know, if this were all BO3s the whole way through, I don't know necessarily if I'm going to believe in them, because teams could play around with that map pool a little bit more. They could push them in a bad position, but the only team that took a BO1 off of them that I remember was Heroic, because they got him to Ancient. And I also just think that's a veto flaw on 9's part. If they just look back at their vetoes for BO1s, they're going to be fine. I mean, they beat Big in a BO1, they beat G2 in a BO1, and I really just think that, like, this team has so many reasons to make it there. The one thing, obviously, is their players. Like, it's hard to get excited about their players. Everybody only just knows Hades, but, like, their style is so tough to deal with, and so I think they're a team that some teams just won't be ready for playing against until they're actually in the server against them.
Okay, this is a Maui taken off, so come on, Kassad, where are you going with this?
Usually I would just ask him if he's insane.
Yeah, of course.
But the thing is, like, I kind of agree with him.
Well, oh my God! Okay, right. Fucking hell. Let me just buckle in then. Okay, come on. Hit me with it.
That's a plot twist, right? But the thing is, like, I have been watching these guys. Like, it's not like...
all the takes he's given, like, some of the other ones were pretty good, but, like, dude, fuck's it. You're taking them, you go top 8 at the major.
Yes, absolutely.
Fucking hell. The last ever major, it's just a bunch of random Polish guys. Like, yeah, the top 8 is 9. Like, all right. Okay, give me a come on.
That's going to add up to my next point. But
all right, go on.
Like, let's talk about Maui's hot take right here. So the thing is, like, I watched these guys quite a bit. I even watched them yesterday when they played against Imperial. Well, I know it's not like, the strongest opponent right now, but still, I watched them in the RMR. I watched them like they're beating Vitality 2, beating G2, even like that nuke game. Like, they're playing good. Like, they're playing confident. On top of that, we spoke to Hunter yesterday. And ask him about, what do you think about this 9 guys? Because he was in the green room with us when we watched the game together. So he stopped by. I was like, we were talking to him about them, and he said, listen, like, these guys are shooting extremely hard, right? And if they keep up, that's what he said. This is his words. If they keep up, they can be a very good team. If their confidence drop a little, just a little, they're done. That's what he said. Now, obviously believe him because he's playing probably against them every single day on practice, and he used to play them on officials. And the eye test for me just shows that they are very, very sharp when it comes to like shooting. Maui's point is obviously they have a lot of strats, but obviously everybody's stealing strats from. I'm pretty sure they're stealing strats from everyone. They're just mixing it up. It's a big pool of strats, and people are making tweaks, and it works like that for the past 10 years. But the thing is, like, they are playing really good right now. The map pool is solid. They have Vertigo. They have Nukes. They're super good maps. I think that the fact that it's a best of one, it's not gonna help them. It's gonna make them, a big of a risk not to qualify for top 8, because in a best of 3, I think they have more chances than in a best of 1, because they have multiple maps that they can rely on. If you are a team that's playing against them in a best of 1, you just remove Nuke and Vertigo, and you are on a decent ground that actually, maybe you can beat them right now. But I do have a strong confidence in them kind of making it to the playoffs. I don't think it's impossible. I think the odds are about 65-35 in the favor of them making it through. Simply, let me see, like, who are they facing in the first round? Actually, we don't know.
Well, you wouldn't know yet. Yeah.
So if they get like a decent opponent, even if they get a harder opponent, I think you get it, because they beat Vitality and beat G2, and it's like they can do it. They're playing well right now. They remind me of, I tell you how they feel right now, because I know how we felt in the major when nobody thought we were just going to do anything, because people looked at us like, yeah, they're going to be 0-3, they're going to be 1-3, they might beat someone on 0-2, and then we end up beating in the quarters, beating in the semis, and like, I know how they feel right now. They don't hear any noise around it, right? They're just playing Counter-Strike, and that's why they're going to win a couple of games and probably get into the top 8.
I think you're both insane on this one.
You need to be the voice of reason.
Don't worry about it. You are absolutely both cracked out your fucking minds on this one. Here's why. First of all, even the name of that team is shit, because they've done the Zipnix thing where you go, I'm just going to use numbers, not as anyone in Elite Speak ever used them, but I just get to decide which part of the number you say out loud. Because if people don't know, even though the name's written like 9-9, they claim their name is 9. It's like, all right, well, tell you what, you are Polish, by the way. How about writing in your fucking language? Why are you wasting my language and telling me how it's written? But okay, because your name isn't 9, it's 9-9. Like, your name's basically what Tabson will say in his last moment of lucidity before he dies and leaves this corporeal realm and realizes he wasted his whole prime on fucking trying to make German CS great. 9-9! Then that's just not be it. It'll fade into the fucking darkness, the end. So that's pretty good, not bad, right? So to bring it all back, though, here's why you're out of your mind. First things first, we can start with the fucking team itself if you want. You just said it right there. Their best player is the player we all wanted booted offense reliably and justifiably. Like, who actually was worse than the person who replaced him. And by the way, who's just having like a mad, month and a half or something. That's about it. He's just on a heater right now, Hades. And he had a great performance at the RMR. By the way, I'm getting all those fucking tingles of what Acor did, where he only did it at the RMR and then was right back to just being just okay afterwards. So already I'm mad nervous, because you're literally banking all of this on a guy where, if you've ever seen his style of play, it is the most fucking feast or famine open style you'll ever see. So already I hate the idea you're relying on that. Then let's add in this. The other players aren't anyone. By the way, he's the best, the reject of the other ones. The other ones are people who've played, like, some of them, by the way, in their entire life have played like 5 LANs, and 3 were Polish LANs, including this RMR and like a recent. And then on top of that, so even the ones with like experience have just played like 15 Polish LANs. Like, they're not essentially at tier 1, this level of CS we're talking about. They have fuck all experience. None. Like, at least people, at least some of the other like upset people in the world have some. Like, look, I know the angle of why you guys are doing this, because of the whole BNE angle, who always get to the major. Copenhagen Flames had all those miracle runs. Like, I get that the last few majors have had this trend of like miracle runs, etc. But the problem with that is, I don't really believe those teams are exceptional. I think what happens is you just get the odd wacky result in the format. So yeah, maybe you could get lucky. Maybe 9 will be that team, but I would bet against it. Not least because it's also a fucking major. Like, everyone's used to now flipping it the other way because of this last major, where it's like the big team. It's more the big dogs have to be afraid of the giant killers. Like, FaZe, watch out, Vitality. Whoa, you haven't got to the playoffs yet. that happens every now and then. Like, there's the normal day when it's like, oh, back to reality. It's like, oh, you wake up. Oh, we're playing phase in a best of 3. Oh, we're really caught. You just get smashed on like map 1. Map 2 comes along. Oh, we lost the pistol. What the hell? Oh, we've got forced back. Mate, the problem is everyone gets drawn to the movie story. Like, oh, the underdogs are making it, because no one likes the normal reality of, like, you know, those games. We all know them where you look on a bracket. You don't even bother watching the game because you're like, what, Mongols? Nah, I don't think I'll bother, mate. And then you look at like, oh, they did just smash them like 2-0. Nice. Oh, and even if they got a map, you're like, oh, it gives a shit. It was like 16-12 anyway. You don't, no one's going to give a fuck. It's what's even worse about this take is, like, 90% of the people watching this show won't even watch the games that they lose at the major to not make top 8. And also, I'll just throw it at the end there. I would have said it would have been hot take enough just to be like, you know, they'll like beat people at the major, maybe beat a big name, or they'll be like one game from qualifying. You guys are just putting them in the playoffs of the last major ever. Like, the worst part about this take is you're almost hoping CSGO just ends shit. Just ends on a bad note. Like, they can easily put 8 good teams in the playoffs, you fucking haters. Why are you grinching the last ever Christmas in CSGO by putting fucking 9 and Hades in the playoffs? Like, who are you taking out, you twats? Like, and also, I don't want to live in a world where sh1ro and Cloud9 can't even get to the major, but then fucking Hades like, what's this, last major ever? I'm just going to ruin it for everyone. Like, sound brilliant. Yeah, thanks, mate. Like, nah, I think that whole take's bullshit. I'm out of that whole thing. Normally, I would just say I disagree. I actually think that's bullshit. But whatever. Here's the thing. It's a good hot take. It's probably one of the hottest takes on the show we've ever done, to be fair. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I'll say this. One thing that's going to actively work against them. Okay, two things. Is just that, one, I expect that the teams that are actually the favorites are going to grind even harder for this major, knowing that it's the last one, knowing it's their last chance. Yeah. And 2 is that I hate to just be like, look at who is lowest rated player and say they're bad, but like, I've actually looked at Minio's stuff too, and he is their caller, but like, some things that he does as an individual just makes me think he's not experienced in tier 1 CS, because he'll be the guy that with like 45 seconds left doesn't know what's happening on the map, and he'll just wide swing into an angle, and it does look very tier 3. And I just kind of wish like he just cleaned his game up, or just trusted that the setups they're in don't need a little bit more information, because it's like the only time I see people do that is if they're just super uncomfortable. And so like, I think now people might hyper fixate on him just doing these really stupid wide swings late in middle of rounds. They're not even in late round situations. They're like mid round, and it just looks like you didn't even have a flash or a teammate there. And so hopefully he just watches this and just stops wide swinging like a moron, because it's thrown so many rounds for 9 that I've watched them play. So that's my one thing. Like, Minio, just stop wide swinging. Stop wide swinging it randomly.
I'll also just throw this in there as a last the cherry on top, right? So this is the period when they're supposed to be really good. Like, this is when they're on the little heater and they're going to the major, right? So in theory, this is them at their best. They're not even at the major yet. They play the RMR, right? Guys, 3 of the 5 players are under a 1.0 rating in this, like, fucking heater. We haven't even got to the fucking pressure yet, boys, mate. When that fucking cooker gets turned up, they're done. It's over. Like, what the fuck? It's over for them. So, yeah, that's that take. Here's the thing. Do you have a take now, Kassad? Do you have another? I think you were saying a second one, right?
I was just gonna add, like,
you can jump in, yeah.
You're gonna go with the joke with like Tapson and stuff, and then 9. But like, you're gonna re-sign the contract with Big again. 9.
That could work too. That could work too.
I thought you were gonna go there, but the thing is, like,
no, the joke is when he re-signs the contract, I'm the one speaking to 9, Tapson, what are you doing? No, Tapson. Tapson, you're the first German ever on continental Europe to sign a probably bad alliance with a group of people that, you know, whatever. You get the joke. I kept it just that much off. You know, whatever. You get the joke. It's all good.
Hey, the thing is, anyway, why I went for 9 and 9, whatever. The thing is, like,
I'm also going to put that in everyone's head, by the way. I'm going to actually ruin that you all just can't say 9 anymore. I'm going to make you all see 9.
Probably one of the worst names.
Yes, it is. It's not a good one. It's not a good one, is it? I know.
But the thing is, like, the reason why I went there, because I was in the very specific situation they're in right now. Yes, it wasn't the last major, but it was a big major, right? The thing is, like, people that are like stronger than you, teams that are stronger than you, they consider you a threat. Maybe they don't consider you a contender, but they consider you a threat. Okay. Like in a best of 1 and a best of 3, they are fucking scared of you. Trust me, they're not playing the same CS against you.
Okay.
They're changing their things, and that's what's making them worse. If they kept the same things playing against us, the stronger teams, we wouldn't have a chance, because the quality of the players are not the same. They are the better team for a reason, because they have better players. But then we are in a good spot. We are sharp. People are scared scared of us. They're making mistakes.
Yes.
And that's obviously, I have a lot of experience in like recognizing those mistakes inside the map, calling the timeouts, adjusting what needs to be adjusted. And people are scared, right? It's going to happen to them as well. They're going to get the chance to win some maps, right? The maps that are going to get them to the top 8. Are they going to use it? I hope so. Maybe not, but it's about that, because people are scared to play against you when you are a threat. They're making mistakes. They're changing their usual patterns and habits just because you are fucking sharp. And in fact, like Maui said, you just randomly swing on 45 seconds fucking left in the round, and then like a moron, right? And then you die. If the person does the same who is playing against you that didn't practice, he's gonna kill you. But they're not doing the same, which is because it's an official match, it's highest pressure, and that's how you get the kill. And you just think that player is good, but he made a fucking terrible decision. He was swinging and he got the kill. But that's a different topic. Anyway, that's why I picked them, and that's why I think they're gonna ruin the last match.
At least you admit it would ruin the last minute. Fair enough. At least you can give that one up. That's okay. That's all good. Right. Would you have a take, Kassad?
Yes. And it adds to this. It adds to this point, and the reason, one of the
What's this, 9 Brit winning first CS2 major, I'm guessing? Like, come on, fucking hit me. By then, they'll have got even more scary and, whatever.
I'm not on that level yet. It's Maui level.
Okay.
But the thing is, I think this is the weakest major that we had in the last 5-6 years. Maybe even 10.
In terms of overall field strength?
In terms of overall quality of the teams and quality of Counter-Strike that's being played right now, we have the absolutely worst major that we had in the past, God knows how long. Just look at the Challenger stage, look at the Legend stage right now. Obviously, that's part of the qualifying circuit and whatever the fucking rules are there and the system and format and whatnot. But look at the whole 24 teams right now. And can you, without being a fan cheering for Liquid if you're an American, or me as a Serbian cheering for G2 or maybe Ants or whatever, right? If you're not a fan of the team, can you name me one team?
Dude, I can't lie, this looks gross. When you actually scroll down the Wikipedia, Maui, at first you almost don't realize it's a major. I'm not joking, because on the top line, remember, this is also because of the stupid seeding. When I scroll down, immediately I see 9 within the first 4 names. And then on the next line, I see Into the Breach. I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? I don't like this, Mr. Gabe. Before I fucking fade off, the Avengers or whatever. And then on the next line, I see Monty, Payne, Gamer Legion. I'm like, oh, bloody hell, there must be some good teams here. Someone can scroll down. Force, Apex, OG, keep going down, Greyhound, Mongols, Fox. What the fuck is this? DreamHack fucking open us? What is this? Is this the major? Holy shit, you're right, dude. It actually does look wild on paper. It does.
This is what I'm talking about. If you look at the list of 24 teams right now at the major, can you name, without being a fan of a team, right? Can you name me one team that you are excited about? One team is all I need. There is
9.
not a single one. 0, right? 0 teams that you're excited about. Is there any favorites that you can have? This team is 100% favorite.
I mean, in a way, I'm sort of excited to see how Vitality will completely let everyone down and not live up to what they just did. In a perverse way, I'm excited.
Look at FaZe. They managed barely to qualify. They were embarrassing Rio after that. G2 is not even in the Legend stage. They had their own troubles.
By the way, I tell you what, mate.
Cloud9 is not even there.
Isn't it wild how that whole G2 hype? Dude, they've just been memory holed. Everyone pretends they never said they were fucking the shit. Everyone's just forgotten them completely after 1.5 events. What?
Somebody of these teams will go and win this title because somebody has
someone has to, yeah, sure.
And they're going to be remembered as a team that won the last major, when in fact, the whole fucking quality of CS is terrible right now. There is no solid teams that can keep a consistent level more than a month or a month and a half right now. Not FaZe, not G2, not fucking Heroic.
By the way,
anyone. I almost said Astralis for
what the fuck would we actually do? Bear in mind, one of the great things about the history of CS is normally you don't get that many flukes. What the fuck would we actually do if Bad News Eagles just won the last major? I might just have to retire at that point. You know what, guys? It's all fun and games, but I can't do this anymore. So yeah, it's all fun.
To just prove our point, right? The level, it just proves the Richards theory, right? It's not even
by the way, could you even imagine if Bad News Eagles won the major? Richard would do a 7-hour video of just every comment for the last 6 months. All right, dickhead, right now, dickhead. That'd be amazing, wouldn't it? I know.
The thing is, I'm telling you right now, people can say whatever the fuck they want, right? I'm watching CS every day. You are watching CS every day. Maui, you're definitely watching CS every day. You can see what's happening. There is no favorites, and it's not because it's ultra competitive. It's because it's ultra shit right now in terms of like level of Counter-Strike. There is not a single team that you can point out as like, oh, listen, these guys are favorites. We had in the past your Liquids, your Astralises, your Brazilians, your fucking G2, NAVI, FaZe, whatever. Now it's no one. And not because it's super competitive, it's because it's way worse than it was before. The worst major when it comes to quality of teams in the last 8 years.
What do you think, Maui?
Well, we're hyper aware now of the flaws of a lot of the top tier teams, which is kind of frustrating because I think it did feel like, see, I don't know. I feel like for one, the tier 2-ish teams have gotten a little bit better. And I think the tier 1 teams almost like they know that their flaws too. And because everybody's watching them play so much, everybody knows their flaws so much more now. Because for example, like still with Vitality winning Rio, for example, like I don't even know if I'd really put them as favorites to win this major. It's really hard for me to say who I'd have as favorites. Like if you had to like yeah, honestly, I think it's kind of like I have a top tier, but it's pretty wide. Like it's wider than normal. Usually, like I'd say Antwerp slash or not Antwerp. What was the major? Or no, it was Antwerp. Like, it was very obvious. No, it was very obvious with Antwerp. Like it was FaZe and NAVI were the two best teams by such a large margin that it had to be those guys, and because they looked pretty much flawless. Like there were so few ways you could pick apart them as teams, and now it's kind of like okay, with G2 we've seen Hooksy call really stellar games, but we've also seen like the floor of that team being really low. You could just, I mean, Vitality, like the only reason they survived in Rio is because Dupree had like his one pop-off game of the last 5 months. Like usually he's a hindrance to the team. So it's just tough right now to like look at this and say like that there's a favorite. I don't know if that necessarily makes me think like it's bad quality. Like I think there's still like later stages of this tournament are going to have really good, compelling games that are going to be like really high level Counter-Strike. But I do see what you mean, because it's like also I do think there's a few teams that snuck into this major which have no business being here. Like for example, Fluxo is just like, once people start watching this team, because I was covering them at the Americas RMR, like this team is just really bad. Like they rush every round. They literally try to end rounds in 45 seconds every single round, and they have so much firepower. They were able to get through the Americas region. A few of the other teams, like even the European, like Apex has been off the map for such a long time that I don't even really know what to make of them making it to this major. Like I think JL is really good, but I still am not exactly sure of this team's identity. It just seems like a lot of teams, unfortunately, are just playing this like you talked about this pool of strats that teams have, Kassad, and they are kind of like just grabbing from each other a little bit here, and it's sometimes hard to recognize like what's the identity behind some of these teams, as they are just using each other's strats because they don't even have one player that is like really popping off the page. Like Apex, I'd be hard pressed to ask most experts in this field like what makes Apex a unique roster, and I don't think that's for an entirely lack of trying. It's just like they just play a style that's like kind of European and kind of like, you know, just overall solid, and they just kind of like made less errors than other teams, and that's why they made it to this major. Yeah, so it's weird looking at this thing, but I also think that when you look back at like a handful of majors, you look at the teams there, and at the time when they qualified, you're kind of like, who the hell is this team? But no, when you look, I'll say this to get to your point, Kassad, like more concretely, this Legend stage looks fucked. Like the fact that 9 Into the Breach, Fnatic, and Bad News Eagles all made it, like what is that? Who are those 4 teams? And I was just praising 9, but I thought they would probably make it through the challenger stage. You know, I thought they were going to be like a 3-1 team, a 3-2 team on the upper half of the Bukol system or whatever. You know, it's weird to see those top 8 teams already guaranteed a spot into the Legend stage.
But you have also Furia as well, right? You have Furia and Fnatic. Do they maybe Furia because that's one spot in North American region, right? And it's between them and Liquid, and who do you want in Legends? It's pretty much the same right now. And you also have Fnatic.
Yeah, I said Fnatic. I said Fnatic. Fnatic's bad too right now. Like, or they don't seem like they definitely don't seem like a 3-0 team through the RMR.
Half of these teams, right? Fnatic, Into the Breach, Bad News Eagles, and 9 are in the Legend stage, right? Do they deserve to be in Legend stage based on that one RMR?
Oh, mate, you can make a very strong point. Like, it's the worst top 16 ever, no matter what the results are. Just because, as you say, fucking into the breach, etc. Sat there, like, waiting, like, hello. All right, Nate. All right, FaZe. Did you get through that last phase? All right, now you can play me now. You've won the chance to play me. Like, what even is this fucking system, mate? Like, it's just nothing in it. Like, I want to be your one. Even worse, by the way, Exist pointed this out on Twitter. It's not even bad enough that they, like, the BO1s are affecting all that stuff. Guys, apparently they're using the fucking results of the RMR to seed these motherfucking majors now. Like, what? The guy, what I don't understand about that is, like, the point of a Swiss system, as I've always said, is to eliminate teams, not to rank them. You're not ranking them. You're just seeing who went out the tournaments when you keep going to the fucking playoff stage, innit? Like, the joke is, at this point in time, someone should just run a tournament where, at the end, the view cult system just determines the placings. There is no playoffs. Just, there you go, you win. There you go, you win the first prize. There you go, fuck you. Some other teams come 7th for no reason. Right, here's the thing. On this one, I sort of agree with you, because actually it works on both ends. Like, on the bottom end, holy fuck, like, this is the one where a billion teams just snuck into the fucking major. And as you say, you have to bring up what Kassad said earlier to really put it in context. When you look at all these crazy teams, you just have to remember, Cloud9 isn't even here. You're like, what? That doesn't even seem possible when I think of it now. Like, I look at all these random names. Like, the joke is Cloud9 would actually have had a chance to win this fucking major. Like, it's an outside chance, but a chance. They're not even here. So on the bottom end, it's terrible. Like, there's just teams that are, like, completely inexperienced and will probably just bomb beyond the odd one that has the all right run. And then on the top end, you guys kind of said it, but I'll phrase it this way. At the top end, the reason why there is no true favourite is because right now in World Counter-Strike, there's a pool of, no joke, like, probably like 6 or 7 teams that sort of take it in turns to have a good game, as it were. And at the moment, no one team consistently is like at a level where they should win tournaments. Like, it's mad. You can go through all of them. Like, realistically, I was writing it down here. You've got like FaZe, G2, Heroic, NAVI, Vitality, Cloud9, Team Liquid. If you do all of those teams, that's 7 teams there. Like, any of those teams could be in a final or semi-final at whatever, the major, the next tournament, like any of those 7. Obviously, Cloud9 can't be at this particular major, right? That just shows you, like, there isn't really even a dominant team either. Like, they all have just such flaws. And quite frankly, the saddest thing about that is this. It's actually, you've got to stress the fact that I did 7 names there, guys. It's okay if there's like 3 and we sort of take turns who wins. And it's like, right, you win this event, but next event, I'm still in the semis. Dude, because there's 7 of them, you can just, it's like you may as well just have a random number generator tell you who the semi-finals are. Like, oh, like if I said this to you, right? Oh, the next event, Maui, after the major, when they do IEM Dallas, the semi-finals is Heroic, I don't know if all these teams there, I'm going to go random ones. Heroic, NAVI, FaZe, Cloud9. You'd be like, sounds all right. And then like, and then if there was another event after that, it's actually Furia plays Team Liquid, and then G2 plays FaZe, and the other one. You'd be like, I guess that could happen. Like, there's no reason that any one team should always be even in the semis or win the tournament. Like, it's actually wild. So I'm sort of with you, because in a way, I think it is actually going to be shit, because even at the last one, you could believe something like, for example, that was when everyone still believed Vitality because they just won the Pro League and they just got the spin set. There's some angles as to why you could believe people were going to have these runs. Even in terms of expectations, there aren't really any. Like, yeah, I noticed nobody's done a hot take on anyone winning the major, because quite frankly, it feels like a fool's errand, right? There's so many teams you could get wrong. Normally, you sort of just pick in between 3 and you're just trying to guess what angle you want, don't you? Whereas, like I say, put it this way, I'll just throw this out there. This almost shows you it's the worst major ever. There's also a very real chance this exact flawed Team Liquid squad could win this major. It's not off the table. Like if I had to order them, they'd maybe be like the 6th or 7th
like
team.
8th. Maybe like 7th or 8th.
No, but I mean, like, even though we'd all agree they have massive flaws, like, pretty sweet. I'm essentially saying OC could be the last fucking major champion. That's the world we're in. So I agree with you, Kassad.
The thing is, like, just to add a couple of more points, like, let's go through that, Cloud9 not qualifying. Like, they had one upset, right? And that's against Monty, right? And that cost them pretty much the whole draw and everything. That should never be like that. Yep. Like, that they beat Force super convincing, 16-5. I watched that game. They lost to Monty, whatever, best of 1. Upset happens every time. Yeah. They beat Eternal Fire. It was overtime, but they beat it. They got a W. And they had to face G2 there, and then ends, right?
Yeah.
And then go into the thing. If you look at Fnatic played Viperia in the first round, 1 win in the second round, and Bait in the third round. And they go into the Legends. Bad. It is so stupid, right? It is so fucking... And then we don't have sh1ro and Exile playing this thing. And then you can have, like, one of those names winning the major, right? And, like, it's just that you mentioned. It's just, like, it's so stupid. It shouldn't be like that. It makes the major worse. And also, what makes the major worse is the fact that Blast is doing it. I'm done.
always throws that in at the end, just a straight up blast at the end. I know after all that.
They deserve it.
By the way, that is actually also the thing that I do think, like the joke there, the reason why Kassad that happened with Fnatic is because obviously Mezzi was the only one not broken by the Cloud9 experience, and he was such a saint to go through that he's been rewarded by God with these insane Fnatic runs that don't make any sense considering the lineup. Like, they make every major, they're in it to maybe make a top. Like, none of this makes sense. It's obviously just he's being repaid, and he like, right, this is how you get it on the back end. Right, I've got a take for you boys. I don't know how spicy you're going to think it is, actually, so I've made like the framing what makes it a hot take. Right, basically, I think fucking Heroic are the new all-time great chokers in the vein of old TSM, like when Astralis used to choke with Carrigan, etc. Because the parallels are crazy. Because here's what sucks. You know when I did that whole rhapsody a second ago about how there's no one team you can guarantee would be in a final or would win the tournament? It should actually be Heroic. I actually think if you look at the way they play the game right now, if you even look at their players and imagine you were doing like a lab experiment where you took like, the final out of the equation, you just tested all their abilities. Their team is good enough to win all these matches. Like, they actually have enough firepower. The problem they have is, I think when you add in the pressure component of the final, it just throws people off their game. Like, I'm sorry, I went and even look this up because I was going from memory, but I thought, I'm sure I'm right on this. And I looked it up. You go and look at all these finals they've been in. They've been in like 4 finals and they won 1 title, right? Dude, Stown just goes missing in the majority of them. He just goes completely off the rest of it, missing. Like, he's gone. And it's not even like I'm talking like he's just in the game, shitting the game up completely. He just one of those people who just dies all the time. Just like you just don't see that much. Like, he's never close to like the MVP, even if they're in these finals, by the way. Then I'll add in, it was obviously back in the day in TSM, it was Carrigan. Now it's Cadian. These are both mega IGLs, but there's also, here's another thing I notice about them. These teams are fucking streaky. That's one of the things about Heroic that's so weird to me. If I actually look at their identity as a team and the way they play, I would think they would be the best grinders. Do you know what I mean? I would think like if they lose a round, they would like have a way back in. Dude, this is a team that first of all is mad toothless when they go off guns. When they go to like a Tech 9 or something, you're not afraid of it. This isn't old fucking Navi that like make you shit your pants. You actually know like, they're probably not going to get much done here. Like, essentially, everything has to go right for Heroic somehow with their game. And part of that, I think they have some choke in them, mate. Like, their best player chokes. I think Cadian sometimes chokes with the calls in the final. And I'll just throw this out there. The reason why I also think I think they're chokers is because when you look at those finals they were in, the joke is the one they won was the one that maybe on paper was the least likely to win. Think about it, right? At Rio the Major, they played outsiders. I think actually Heroic should have been the favourite for that. They should have won it, but I knew they fucking wouldn't because Outsiders was there to catch the throw. Then you had the one they won over FaZe. That was actually the one on paper would have been fine to lose. That's an all-time great team, but you actually won that one, which almost implies, by the way, and this is what kills me about this take because I think it's true. The reason why I think they won that one is because when you know you're the underdog, you don't have the same pressure. You actually play different, which used to be the old MO of Heroic, remember? When they were the underdog against NAVI, when now he's top dog, they used to play him as close as anyone in the world. When they became a top dog themselves, they lose. Then you go after that one. The G2 one at Katowice was actually pathetic. They were leading in every bloody game and they lost 3-1. And like, actually, when you look at the end, it's like G2 was going to win that all day long. And then obviously this most recent one, I actually think they should have been the favourite for this one. Like, they should have won this one. They should have beaten Vitality, mate, is always going to give you chances and weighs in. And somehow this team just folds up. I actually find it really sad because I've often said this. Like, this is why I also draw a parallel to TSM 2015. It's actually probably my favourite team to watch right now. I really enjoy watching Heroic play, but I'm just really sick of these fucking chokes. Because at this point in time, like that team, I'm just ready for it now. And I'll add the last detail, which is why I did the parallel, which is the thing that always used to kill me about TSM 2015. Is if they go to a smaller tournament or just the next tournament and play the same team that beat them in the final in like the quarters, they'll beat them every fucking time. And when they beat them, you go, they've gone over the hump, guy, and then they just get to the final like, well, same shit again. And that always kills me inside because it means you can beat all these teams. If something happens to you in this big pressure moment that isn't, it's not even like the opponent's making it happen always. So what do you think, guys? Because to me, I know it's a bomber, but that's like, essentially, I think this should sort of be the Heroic era almost. Like, dude, they're not only in every final, but like they should have a bunch of these trophies. They could have like 3 trophies right now. They could have even won a fucking major. It's outrageous.
Well, the first thing I would bring up in this, the greater context of Heroic and their choking in late kind of game situations or late stage tournament situations is that Cadian himself, I looked this back up like a long time ago, like basically everything Cadian did, say pre 2019, every time he was eliminated from a big tournament, it was not like oh, he played super well, but the team let him down. It was like he was basically bottom-rated player for his team in a lot of elimination games. So he himself has a history of individually choking in big moments and just like being the reason that his team loses big games. And so he's kind of, I think, tried to like fix that narrative because with just like building a really thorough system, like trying to like assemble this team that's more like it's like the greater than the sum of its parts type of deal. But that also I think means that like because everybody believes in the system so much for Heroic, it's almost to a fault. They think the system's just going to carry them into these round victories when it's like no, like Stown for example, it almost feels like when you're watching him play in a late tournament stage, he's like on autopilot. Like he just thinks that if I just follow the strat, if I just follow the entry route, it's going to carry me to success. I'm just going to trust the flashes. But it's like you watch Twist, you watch Rops in these late game situations, and it's like if they think the flash is a little bit bad, they're not going to go. If they think like that's not the best fight right now, they're going to hesitate. They're going to take what they think is the best fight to deliver the finishing blow to try to win a tournament. Like they're always going to go beyond the strat if they don't think that Kerrigan's call is great. And Kerrigan's obviously still a great caller, like not to take anything away from him, but it's just these micro moments where you could just tell Heroic just kind of lose their hands. It's almost like they're just aiming with their keyboard. They're just like, if I just follow this entry route, magical things will happen. Like the kills will just magically serve themselves up to me. And I think that's where Heroic falls apart because you know, structure is supposed to take away some of the onus from the player that they think they need to like always be that next guy, that guy that's going to do something. But for Heroic, like it's almost like nobody takes that responsibility upon themselves to go above and beyond.
Also, two things. I'll just throw two jokes in there. One, obviously, Cadian, huge fan of Kyle Shanahan's offensive play calling. Just a joke for NFL fans there, if you know, look up the old Falcons, right? And then the other joke is this, right? I've actually figured out how you can fix this, though. Because, you know, before every big game, Cadian gives that, like, Al Pacino, you know, a few inches more any given Sunday type speech where he goes like, guys, and they always have the camera on him, like, believe in each other, fight for each other. Like, at this point in time, logically, I know how that can work. Just meet the opposing team for the final outside the toilets. Give them that speech, and then they'll be completely ruined and mind-fucked and broken, and they won't come through in the big moment. So the problem is you're giving it the wrong team, Katie, and you keep fucking up your team. Go give that speech to, like, Navi or something, mate. You might win the tournament. Like, give me a break. Because that's the other thing that I hate about this. Guys, he's given the hero speech every time. It doesn't work. Like, he's losing all these ones. Go on, Kassad. What's your take? Come on, mate.
It's just like, I absolutely agree. They're chokers. They choked like many finals. Like, they should have been major champions. They should have won this fucking thing. It's like even the Katowice against G2, who was like firing at all cylinders.
It's doable, right?
They won that. Like it's three massive finals. Why are they losing this? I think one of the reasons is exist.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he doesn't have the experience. He does have the brain. Like he does know the game. The guy is a legend, right? He does have the brain, but he doesn't have the experience how to organize his team, how to get them into a right like mindset without, you know, this noise that's around them, right? When I was doing my team, you know, he had like a big game coming up. Everything that was happening, I took it on me. Everything on outside of the server, everything, like the crowd, the admins, the fucking analysts, everything, the desk, everybody, everything. It was like all on me. Just I fucking absorbed every noise that I possibly can, so they don't have to hear or feel any noise coming.
Do you know what that technique's called, Mauisnake? It's called his aha moment because he took it all on him. So keep going.
Yeah. The thing is, like,
they're all good. They're all good. But yeah,
it's a good one. It's a good one.
Go on, Kassad, keep going.
Nice try. That's it. The thing is, like, I would take everything that I possibly can on me. And on top of the fact, I would probably go and like talk exclusively about the game, and that there is no hero speeches from me. There's no like fucking we need to fucking be 300 spots.
I love that, by the way. I love the idea. Like,
all the fucking
I love the idea you're hoping your coach comes in like it is a movie. Like, well, what's he gonna say? It's the big match. Kassad just comes in, right? You know the fucking piss around. You know what you're supposed to be.
Exactly.
Hold fucking the anchor spot on Mirage, you idiot. Like, what the fuck? Like,
exactly.
The harsh stance.
You need to be my fucking hammer to the fucking nail. You need to be. Fuck that. I'm just gonna listen.
I would unironically like to hear you do a parody one of those. You should do one as a skit sometime. It'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
But listen, we agreed on the pistol. We make sure that on the anti-eco, if we win the pistol, the anti-eco needs to be as strong as fucking holes. And then we need to do this in the first gun round. If we spot 3 people on B, this is the reaction. Just remind them, because they're gonna forget it, because there is a fucking crowd all over the place. Everything is fucking, drummers are fucking slamming. It's like, those 20-year-old kids, like they're gonna forget about this.
Dude, you know that's even an area, Kassad, when you say that actually makes me realize that is actually mad under like developed, because if you think about it, dude, even pro sports coaches do that. Like if no one remembers, like in that famous one where the fucking Giants beat the Patriots, if you ever listen to like the mic'd up, even Belichick, who's probably the greatest coach of all time, does exactly what Kassad's talking about. Like when you come out of the timeout, it'll be like, right, let the Manningham guy go, like we're going to cover the other route or whatever. You're right, they always give the reminder right before you go in the game,
exactly.
Don't they?
Like if I have a 30-second timeout on 14-12, right, I'm not going to say, listen guys, we need to gather all of our strength and we need to fight through these fucking hard times, and then we need to go and charge into the victory. No, I'm saying, listen, guys, they're playing 2-1-2 all the time, and we need to draw some fucking utility and execute on fucking B.
Dude, what I love is, I just love the way... I love the way he sort of like accidentally, his parody version of the movies is actually better than like the real movie speeches. It's pretty good, isn't it, Maui? Like his sort of material's good. It's like he knows where to go with it. It's good.
The thing is, like, if I need to say, like, listen, your lurks, they need to be a little more passive. Like, don't go aggressive lurk because their rotation is delayed, right? So you're not gonna catch the kill. Whatever. Like I'm saying, what I spot for those 30 seconds. I'm not going into some fucking Titanic, sad fucking moments, whatever, right? It's just how you utilize. The second part of my point is Cadian. He is the great IGL, one of the top 3 IGL right now. They still have a decent chance to win the fucking thing in Paris, right? We have, but like he's thinking about the other stuff. Like I saw him with the fucking Brazilian flag coming into the final. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you carrying Brazilian flag? Are you trying to win the crowd for you? Why are you even thinking about that? Why is your mind before the final thinking about the Brazilian crowd and the Brazilian flag? Your mind should be focused on the 2 maps that you're going to be playing, or 3, right? And that's once you win, once you leave the trophy, get the Brazilian flag out, get the Danish flag out, lift them up, say thank you, fans. It's because of you that I'm doing this. I love what you did for me. You changed my life. I love this game. You are the big reason of it. I love you, Brazil. See you next year. That's what you say. And that's how the fans like you. Going into the grand finals with the Brazilian flag behind your back is just something that I wouldn't allow as a coach. I would just say no. Okay. The second thing is like dancing after the clutches. Like, did you see that shit? Like, if I was a coach, I don't know what I would do. I'd probably call a timeout. Sure. And immediately derail that into some conversation about fucking game. Right? Because if you won that clutch, won a sick clutch, right? It was a fucking glorious clutch. It was a fucking, highlight, whatever. Like,
it was amazing.
This thing can fucking turn the game around. And instead of just like giving a fist bump and immediately focusing on the next round, just fucking saying like, listen, we want this. We are low on money. We don't have this utility, that utility. We need to make sure that we execute this. He's just looking at the camera and just fucking doing this shit.
It's also wild because, like you say, he's the IGL as well, bro. Like, as you say, the IGL's supposed to be like, right, next round. He's like, excuse me, dancing with the clutches. Like, what the fuck? I know.
What fucking timeout.
Listen, it's in the final.
Utility. We lost all the people. We have no money. We need this next round, boys. I love it. He's going to execute this and that. We are not dancing. Why are you looking at the fucking camera? There is no camera for you during this final. No camera. Cameras are after. You win the final, you grab the fucking trophy right here, and you carry it in front of the fucking camera. And you can ask me whatever the questions you like. And that's what you do. You don't dance in front of the cameras, you don't carry the flags. And this is what he needs to work on. Like, you are the IGL, there is no dancing for you. There is no fucking flags for you. Talk to the crowd after. Like, do the fucking dances after. Make TikTok videos. I don't give a fuck. When we are on the server, when the map is going and happening right now, it needs to be happening right now. I would never allow that as a coach. Maybe that's why, I'm not a coach. But the thing is like, the thing is like, those things that they pissed me off. And look at any other sports coaches. Like, would they allow something like that? Just imagine if Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, like during the timeouts, Tom Brady's like, just fucking dancing and like, just fucking thing. You heard those mic'd up things. Like, they're talking about the games. Like, it's just the mix of those things that are kind of caught my eye. But they are definitely one of the favorites to win the Paris thing. And I want them to win, together with G2. I want them to win, right? It should be a good final between Dim and Dev and G2. And whoever wins, wins. But it's also, when we talk about Stan and like these people, that like kids that are choking, that is expected from them. That's where you need the coaching staff, your IGL, your fucking whole system to help them get over that. He's 21 years old. Like, obviously he's going to get to feel the pressure. He's going to try to follow the threat, like Maui said. He's going to try to like kind of, you know, why did Elige and Twists are not the same as fucking as Tav? Because they had, for example, they had Zeus as a coach, right? In Liquid,
sure,
they had Zeus as a coach. They had proper coaching, you know, system. They had somebody to take off the pressure from them, you know, and just focus them on the game and just cancel the noise they have around them. It's like it helps a lot. This is like a obviously I'm not like blaming Exist. Don't say he's bad. He just needs like more experience in those things to kind of organize. Maybe he's good for the game. Maybe he's not good for the other stuff. But
sure,
that's something that needs to work on. But that's my take on Heroic. That's what they need to do, and I think it lasted more than I expected.
Here's the thing, in a way, you made your own mini take, which is like it exists as part of the problem. I will say on that topic, though, like I sort of see what you mean, because the problem is people are actually going to probably take that as all what the fuck exists? Like, yeah, but all the things you're thinking of is him as a player, you idiots. Like, remember, a coach is a different role. Like, you can't just immediately act like you won as many tournaments as a coach. And then also, I'll even say on this particular very specific issue of choking, he might not even be a very good coach for this team, because spoiler, Exist himself was a very clutch player his whole career, and his teams, NIP, I would say didn't choke. Like they're one of the all-time great clutch teams of winning when they fucking they used to, people know this, they stole some of those fucking Auckland titles just on the way out the door. Like they should have been done years before that. So I also think in that scenario it's a bit like the famous reason why you wouldn't want like Michael Jordan to be your coach, because he really is just going to do simple like do this like I would, and you're like, I'm not you fucking idiot, like you were the best ever. So same thing, how's Exist going to tell these guys how not to choke when he never had an issue with that? He's just sort of like, I just don't choke. Like, so already. And then the other thing, I'll just throw this out there because I have also thought the same thing, Kassad. All I'm going to say is this: look, pandering to the crowd's one thing, but if you come from my country, by the way, and I see you at an event with the flag of another country in the final, when you're trying to celebrate what's going to be your greatest moment, when you come home, you're fucking Brazilian, mate. You're not from Denmark. What are you talking about? You were trying to win from Brazil, my dude. Like, nah, fucking Royal Arena crowd, we ain't feeling you, my dude. That ain't it. Like, because what is it? Which country do you represent? Like, why don't we just do this for every country? Why don't every country, everyone just lie and pretend they support that fucking home crowd? Like, oh, hello, I've got the French flag here. What's up, guys? By the way, spoiler,
no one will do that.
They're so outrageous, probably some fuck will do that in the event. I don't know who it'll be. It might be simple or someone will see. Someone will do it. Someone will bring in a French flag, I guarantee. I just
think
know
with it being in Paris, the crowd's going to be way more diverse, though. So, like, I'd hope they don't try to pander like that. It's not going to work.
I hope not, anyway.
Okay, one I had like kind of an addendum.
Go on.
Well, I had my own hot take that was about Heroic, and I kind of want to just like bounce it off you guys now, though. That even though we're like so critical of them, I do think that they're the team that has the highest floor of any pro team right now. Like, well, that's not true. I'm not going to usually pick Heroic to win it all, but I'm gonna say like Heroic is always gonna make top 4 nowadays. Like I just like the way that they play until it gets to the super high pressure moment. They're so consistent. They're even good at now showing that they can beat a team like NAVI that usually has had their number. So I think that's kind of. We've already said a lot about Heroic, so if you guys want to take anything on that, it's just that
I've got a little bit on that. Go on.
Yeah, just highest floor overall as a pro team, not necessarily the highest ceiling though.
It's actually why it tortures me that they're so bad in finals though, because I agree. I actually think like the baseline level, you're right. Even though like on paper, if they hit their peak form, FaZe or NAVI or G2, people would take them as the better team. The difference is you can't guarantee those teams in the semis, like you're saying. It's almost a lock that, like put it this way, they feel like now it's almost impossible they don't make a playoffs. You know what I mean? Like they feel like a lock at a minimum. Like that's how good they are. And that's also what sucks, because the other reason I also think that they're blowing these finals is I think they've had the best map pool in the world for like, what, a fucking year now or something. Like they also can play everything. They're even one of those teams where this is how you know you're really good as a team. Like I don't care if the win rate on Wikipedia or whatever, or HLTV says like, shit, 50%. Like it doesn't matter. Like in the game, they can win against anyone on most of the maps. Like they're almost impossible to veto against.
The 50% means that they're getting 50% against the best teams in the world. It's not like a lot of teams where it's like 50% is like, oh, some of their wins are against like Monty and Bait, and their losses are to like Liquid, G2, Vitality. It's like, no, Heroics is just like evenly matched versus pretty much everybody.
So that's even why, to Kassad's point, the fucked up thing people don't realise is, look, beyond like the big narrative history of like, it would be cool if Nico won a major or something. If I wasn't going off that, I would actually pick, if I could choose, Heroic to win the last CSGO major. Because at least then I could say historically, oh, by the way, guys, if you want to see how CSGO was at the end, the best team for real was Heroic. You can go watch them win the major, look at the way they played, the style that they had, the way they called it. This is actually real Counter-Strike. This is what it got to at the end. It was really good. And it was good. Like, I think that would even be a really cool sort of end to the game. Sadly, I think they're going to blow it though. I bet they'll be in a semi, they'll fucking blow it again, and then KD will be shit, my life. I'll get him next time, guys. There isn't a next time. It's the end of CS:GO. You fuck.
What's gonna piss me off is the fact that like when I said this about Cadian and like flag and dancing and all this shit, people are gonna be like, oh yeah, they're just having fun. Why don't you like let them have fun? Maybe it works for them. Well, how did it work for them? Dickheads. Like the thing is like the thing is like, you know, it's about like also winning the things. Like, if you want to have fun and do this crazy shit, like go to a fucking bar. Like go to fucking
exactly.
eat.
Well, the joke is they were already doing it at the after party. Exactly. By the way, please stop filming shit like that and put it online. Even though it's funny, don't do that, please.
No, it's so bad. It's so bad. Like that it's gonna get out of hand one time. So obviously,
because it's the thing, Maui. There's even an angle people don't think about. Here's how it's gonna happen, right? I'll guarantee you, it won't even be like an intentional like main thing. So you won't notice it. Because remember, the person filming's probably drunk as well. What will happen is this, I guarantee. One day in like the background or something, they'll be filming like people dancing, and then in the background you'll just see someone like take drugs or fucking or someone stand here and say something that gets picked up on the mic, like, and you'll hear the voice and recognize. When that happens, it's going to be so sad, guys. It'll actually ruin like all the coolness of having like backstage moments, won't it? Ruin it.
That's the rule, like in the green room. Don't video.
Yes, exactly.
Like the thing is, like I did it once to Maniac when he was like cheering on Vitality, and for like 4 seconds, right? 4-second video when Vitality won some big round. It was an innocent video, nothing was said or whatever. Like, and he made a joke, like, but he was like, you know, I read between the lines, obviously, right? He's like, yeah, we're starting recording videos in the green room now, and I like he made a joke.
He used to be attacked on that, yeah, exactly.
He made a joke, and I understood what he wanted to say, like. He made it like very, you know, and I would never do it. So it's the same thing. Like players there, they're having fun at the party. Bunch of shit is being said. Like, you know, it's like it's the way it is, right? Nobody's like, and if you record it, like you said, it's gonna be in the background. Somebody's gonna say something stupid in the background, and then you're gonna end up like fucking on the front page of HLTV or Reddit or whatever the fuck. Your reputation is gonna be ruined. It's just not the way to do it.
You can't with the thing with the difference between, and green rooms are sacred spaces too, where we shouldn't just be filming everything there all the time. Absolutely. But it's a few enough people that you can ask permission. You can ask like, can I record? Is this video okay for me?
It's actually what a lot of the women who do social media do. If they want to do like an Instagram post, they'll just say like, guys, can I take a picture, basically?
I mean, Shox does it a lot, but Shox asks. You know, Shox is like, is this okay? She says it right away. So it's like, yes, it's okay. I said it's okay. I consented. But at an after party, there's like 40 people in these shots that are not consenting to having these videos of them, and this is supposed to be a private party, you know. It's just like, so yeah, people are gonna get caught eventually. I have one more.
Oh, and I'll just throw in one last detail. I know obviously we don't want to think this is true. This is just for the sake of completeness. But I will also just throw in, it's also possible, crazy idea. I know I have a degenerate mind, not you guys. But it's also possible some of the people on the video might not actually be dancing with the girl that is their girl. Do you see what I... Never mind. That would never happen in CSGO. That's not the sort of scene we have. That's okay. But I'm just saying that might hurt people's feelings if they would get caught, you know, in that scenario.
Yeah. I have
then,
one
then
more
they might finally get cut from Furia. Shit, did I say that out loud? Get fucked, Fart. By the way, that's my new name for him. Because he dies all the time, you press F in chat. His name is Fart. That's his name from now on, Kassad. I'm just putting the F in front of art. So it's Fart with a capitalized T. Oh, don't worry. Here's the thing. People don't know this. This is a mad take, so fuck it, it's hot takes. I'll say it anyway. I actually did take a lot of my style of how I like make shitty nicknames to fuck with people. I did just take it from Donald Trump because I just noticed it's a really effective tactic. Because if you can get it in their brain that is like the name associated, you've done half the battle. Like then it just destroys them internally. So I'm gonna keep working on that one. It's all good. It's all good. Did you have what you
So,
go on.
I had one more that's it kind of goes against the narrative that I've created with the Nafoni angle, also Trump-esque in terms of that, but it's just that okay, when I do look at Cloud9 and where I want to throw the blame, it still is Nafoni first. It still is. I still think the style that they play, I think that his leadership has shown to fall apart. We were saying like Heroic are the biggest chokers. Cloud9 are actually almost objectively bigger chokers. They've lost to so many low-ranked teams in moments that actually matter just as much. Heroic are choking when it comes to the biggest stage, and so we're all seeing it, but like Cloud9 are just doing that in the quarterfinals, and Cloud9 are doing that in the legend stage of the Major 2 Imperial, shit like that. But with Cloud9, and we talked about this on the last watch party, and obviously tune into the watch parties for Hot Take Point made on Insight on Esports Twitch. But like with Cloud9, like HObbit has like fallen off the face of the earth for this team in a lot of big games also. And yet I noticed, and the reason this is a hot take is because I noticed that a lot of people like start to blame Axile, but it's like he's still actually doing pretty decently in these games. He's like still like, maybe he's not at his like 1.25 output, type number, but a lot of times he's still at like a 1.04 and people are like, but he needs to give more. But it's like, if everybody gave that number, it would be fine. It's like Hobbit's the one that also is just like 0.8 a lot of the time. Like he literally is just like doing absolutely nothing in some of these late game situations. Like also, where is the reason they wanted to bring HObbit in for what was his name? Like it wasn't
sh1ro or something, wasn't it?
sh1ro, yeah, was to get a little bit more experience. And in the beginning it looked really good for Gambit. Like HObbit was actually a very good player for them in the online era. As soon as they switched to being under the Cloud9 banner, like HObbit's been way streakier, and that's why a lot of games have come down to sh1ro and Axile having to hard carry this team, because we can never really rely on HObbit anymore to be a guy that's actually going to do a lot for them. So I for one am just like saying, let's divvy the blame a little bit and let's continue to shift it away from Axile for me, because like it's just like it's weird for me to see that when it's like, he's just carried that CT side against FaZe. Like he did so much for them in that whole half. Like ask for something else from like anybody, and sh1ro's always going to deliver. Axile delivers say 80% of the time, but HObbit to me is like less than a coin flip. He's worse than a coin flip for me now in big games.
Interesting. I mean, I wouldn't disagree, but I would put the blame somewhere else. Like, because simply I'm going to speak from experience again. Like the thing is, like we had when Nifty was I'm going to throw Nifty under the bus a little bit here, but the thing is like it is what it is. But the thing is, like when we had him, right, is he was the IGL, right? And then when people don't agree with what the IGL is doing or calling, their confidence tend to drop off a little bit, and it tends to they tend to make like little worse decisions. The fucking performance drops off. And overall, the team just drops off. And I do believe that it's the leadership's fault in that team that is making these players play worse. And I think there is a lot of internal problems there. I feel like, but look, did you see the body language of those players during RMR and IEM Rio? Did you see how that looks like? That looks like they are on a fucking funeral. That's how they look. That's how people look on fucking funerals. They have no desire to be there. They have no desire to play, even though they might go out and say in the fucking interviews a bunch of different shit that doesn't make any sense for the people that actually know what's going on. They have no desire to win. They have no desire to do anything except for sh1ro. He's obviously like I said, number one right now, and he was like super into it. He was stressing out, and he
looked mega pissed off during that fucking match they lost in the Rio.
Yeah, I know a little bit of Russian. I know a little bit of Russian.
Okay.
Because it kind of similar to Serbian in some ways.
It's got Cyrillic like Serbian.
Yes,
actually, yeah.
and I learned Russian in elementary school, like the first 8 grades, right? So I know some of the words and some of the sentences. There was a situation where they fucked up around in a 4v2 or something, and you see sh1ro is like slamming the desk like this and asking, "What the fuck are we doing?" That's the literal translation. What the fuck are we doing? So that shows you how pissed he was. Like players, like normal, like high, tier players, they don't usually say that. They don't usually slam the desk. There's a couple of examples, but he is not one of them. But he was mega pissed. And what he said out loud is like, "What the fuck are we doing? Što vi delajte, suka," something, whatever, right? And it's, yeah.
I'm just kidding.
The thing is like the leadership's fault. Coach/IGL is making a lot of wrong moves. The style they're forcing, it's It's not working. The CT side, the timeouts are not being used correctly. Even when they're using it, they're doing the wrong things. It's just so many flaws there, and it affects HObbit. It affects Exile. HObbit is you can see that the personality of it, he is the guy who came back from fucking ashes. He was done. He came back into youngsters. After winning the major, he got himself to this level. That guy is doing something right. He is ready to work. He is a hardworking guy. Right? So despite the fact that he has a family and like he has still time to do this shit. But the thing is, like, I don't think he's the problem per se. I think if you put him in another team, he's gonna work hard, he's gonna play well. Right? But things, or you change something in this team. But Buster clearly not working. I made a hot take point like that he's not gonna make the second major, but there is no second major, so I think he's gonna be out after the season. Probably with Nefani, and I wish that happens. Or listen to this. This translate into kind of a hot take. Cloud9 should sell that team. Cloud9 should sell that team to somebody. I don't think they should exit CS:GO. They should just sell that team. The thing is, like, for me, that
yeah, but who are they getting instead, though, Kassad? Like, are they getting phases? Because in this scenario, like, there's not that many better teams than Cloud9 to really have, though. You know what I mean? Like, unless they get one of the 6 teams above them or something, like, who are they getting? You know?
Well, they just wait to see how the market unfolds a little bit. Like, you don't have to get the team tomorrow, right? Okay. You know, if they sell it. Like, also there is a thing, you know, with the brand. Like, they are the North American organization.
That's true.
Having the CS Russian team, it just doesn't feel well. When I look at it, it just doesn't seem right. Like, it doesn't seem like Cloud9 to me. It was like, let's put it this way: you are British, right, and you live in London, Maui. It's just imagine the national squad of England in football wearing yellow jerseys. That wouldn't be like.
No, I get you.
It'd still be like, okay, English football team, but like yellow jerseys, like it doesn't make, you know, it's not the thing. Like, you know, if they had a North American team, there is a way to fix the North American scene. That's another topic. But like the North American team should be, or at least the international one. But like they had a CS team. I get what they did. It business wise, it was good. They can sell fucking team for multiple $1 million to TSM, to whoever, right? But the thing is, like, the first step would be try to fix the team as it is. If that doesn't work, I would just sell it while the stock is still hot. So yeah.
All right. Here's a bunch of takes on this. First of all, since Kassad referenced him, actually the joke is, if you've seen Nifty's social media, it became like exclusively like fucking like hero coach speeches. Just that's all his Twitter is. Like every tweet is just sort of like, when you're a starseed spirit, they will try to enclose you with their norms and societal. Like, the fuck? All right. It's the same guy. If I like followed some by accident, that's actually just Nifty now. I don't know what he's doing, but you know, apparently he's happy, so it's all good. Bringing it back.
ESEA Advanced.
Oh, he still plays CS. Fucking hell. Okay,
he's playing Advanced. He's playing Advanced in North America.
Fair enough. Whatever. At least he seems to be on the
wings. He's that type of person. Like that. Like when it comes to Nifty, I don't think he's a bad guy. He's not a bad guy. He made bad decisions.
Sure.
In his CS career.
Yeah.
Right. Very bad decisions when he left Renegades, when he went for that NV, and after that, whatever. But those things like he's into that stuff, right? I would never be into that, like coach quotes and like, you know, the sunlight and the dawn is new and whatever the fuck, right? For me, it's just fucking show me fucking the results.
Problem with that is, though,
let's get into work.
Right? I actually even do like Nifty as a person. I thought he was a pretty cool guy. The problem is, though, I'll always say this. This isn't a fucking sport about being a nice human being. It's about how good you are at the game. So I'm sorry, he just wasn't a very good player. So I don't really give a fuck how.
He had the mechanics. The problem with Nifty, he had the mechanics. He had the mechanics. One of the best like movements like at the time. Like he was like his movement was sick. Like he could do anything on the server. His problem was in his head. Right? He couldn't really understand some of the things when it comes to the teams, and you know it's his own fault what happened to him. Like nobody else. And he's very articulate. He likes to talk. He's like cool guy to be around. Like you can talk to him about different shit. He's gonna talk to you, but he made a bunch of wrong decisions, and I think he can come back from it, right? And he's trying, and that respect to him.
Well, whatever. Anyway, we've talked about it.
Quick correction. He's playing Challenger League. Okay, he actually qualified for that.
Okay, right, here's my HObbit takes anyway. The problem is this. One, I agree with Maui, because essentially a point I was talking about on the watch buys. The real problem is this. The area I first noticed this, because here's the problem. It's not even that HObbit is like, it's like I said earlier about the Stouting stuff. It's not like he's doing mad blunders all over the place. You're like, what the fuck, you idiot? You're blowing the game for them. It's just more that he just disappears in the game. Like you don't see him on the T side. It's just one of those people where if they get a kill, it's nothing. If they don't, you don't see them either. They're just in the mix of the game. And the reason why that sucks is because, like Maui said, the main angle he's supposed to lean on isn't even his fragging, which is all right, actually. It's supposed to be that he's experienced. If anything, he should be the one who's sort of the antidote to the Nafani choke or the shit T-side or whatever. This is the guy, which is what he even used to do famously in his career, who should win you the big 1v2 that gets you back in the game. He just doesn't do that anymore, guys. Like, that was that. It's quite sad because when they first came to LAN and everyone was flaming the fuck out of Axel and sh1ro, HObbit was the guy everyone was like, wow, look at him. He is like fucking Captain Kazakhstan, just saving their arse last second and keeping them in the game. And he even looked like the one who was more, back then, he was the one who was more mad that they were losing, and the rest of them were sort of just like shit in the pants, like, oh my God. Now, actually, that's even, by the way, I can even connect that. In a fucked up way, Kassad, I actually really love that fucking sh1ro goes mental like that when they're losing the game. Because if in games like that, when you are just killing it like that, that is a way, that if you do it in a non-toxic way, that is a way you can actually like, sort of like, it's like a way of waking, it's like almost like slapping your teammate on the back, come on, fucking get in the game, like, look what I'm doing, like, I'm trying to carry this shit, just like, help me out and I'll fucking win the game. I actually like that though. I love that way more, Kassad, than when they just sit there all sad, like, oh, fucking game scored this shit. That's why I've always said to my boy Elise back in the day, like, come on, mate. That's, even though it's not toxic, it's just so bitch made to just sit there like, oh, whatever, we're going to lose the game then. It's like, well, in that case, how can you even complain? You didn't even give him a chance, did you? You gave up on him as well. And then the other thing I'd add in is this. The reason why you never hear this, and it is a hot take that HObbit's like not that good, or maybe he's even part of the problem, is because everyone forgets the narratives. I don't, 'cause it's my whole fucking career. The narrative in this team when they were Gambit Esports was they have a trio of stars. It is sh1ro, Axel, and HObbit, and any of the three can carry the game or could be the MVP. Because remember, in the online era, they all won MVPs. It was supposed to be they had this big trio. Then here's how you know the moment HObbit dropped off, because about a year ago it just became, and then they got sh1ro and Axel, two of the best players in the world, and now it's like, and now they've got sh1ro and fuck Axel, because that's how he says, like, for some reason Axel is just a whipping boy for every other element of the team. Like, it's so crazy. So, like, at this point in time, I sort of agree, because basically, even though HObbit is not at the same level as the player I'm going to compare him to, the obvious comparison in terms of narrative is dupreeh, because everyone in Vitality loves to bang on Apex and what the fuck is Spinks doing, and, you know, like, oh, everything. And the one topic that never fucking comes up is dupreeh actually a good enough player to be in this team, or is dupreeh ever holding them back? Because everyone knows dupreeh's a legend. They don't want it to be true that he's part of the reason. So I think essentially one of the problems in this case is it's where you've actually backed into a case where people like HObbit and dupreeh, not only, by the way, were they very good players with long careers, but they're also people there's no reason to dislike them. So unfortunately, I think it's a rare area where there's a blind spot for a lot of talent, and they just won't flame these players. They'll never, they'll very carefully, even if they talk about a bad performance, shade it. They would never do it in the same way like we're saying. Like, essentially, I'll reframe what Maui said. Dude, Axel could have like a +8 in a final and get shit on like he was the biggest idiot of all time for not having a +28. But HObbit could just go like -5 quietly and no one would ever mention it. You know what I mean? Like if I'm Axel, even I'd be like, really? Come on, bro. Like, I thought he's the one with all the experience who won the major. I'm trying to get there, bro. Like, you know what I mean?
2 points. First one on dupreeh, right? Like, I agree 100%. We spoke about this multiple times. Like, it's like, let's take the basketball reference again. You remember Manu Ginobili? With Tim Duncan and fucking Tony Parker, and Pop was the coach. Like, at some point, Manu Ginobili became a liability. Like, he's a fucking Hall of Time player. Like, Hall of Fame player, sorry. And it's like, he was, you know, he brought the titles. He won the Argentina, the fucking World Cup and the Olympics, whatever the fuck it was. Right? And at some point, he became too slow. He became too old. He didn't become too, like, he was missing shots. He was, like, not the team that, like, you know, San Antonio Spurs franchise, you know, can't tolerate anymore. So they just replaced him. The same goes with Tim Duncan. The same goes with Kevin Garnett, like Paul Pierce. Like, you know, it's just a lot of these players, right? The same goes in CS. Like, if you are a legend, you won fucking 20 events, 4 majors, whatever the fuck, right? And it's like, at some point, we have to, you know, replace you with somebody younger, better, sharper, faster, whatever. It should be in CS. We talked about this about Rain, dupreeh. But the second point is about desk slamming thing and getting pissed off. I always told my players, 100% of the times, that if you want to slam the fucking desk, fucking slam it. Like, if you want to just hit the fucking monitor, slam it. We can afford a new one. I don't give a fuck. But if that's gonna get us going, that's gonna get us going. Don't be like passive aggressive. That's gonna make things worse. But slam, let's ask what the fuck are we doing? Like, you know, just anything, right? Any emotion. That's what I said to fucking Lias all the time, to JKS. Like, and like, if you feel frustrated about something and you wanna fucking do it, just fucking slam it. Slam your mouse. I don't care, right? And at that point, I would either go for a timeout and not even mention that. Like, I wouldn't tell, can you please not slam the desk? That would make things 10 times worse. I would immediately go into the game. Like, listen, guys, we need to do this, this, and that, and fucking, you know, just call around. Don't even pay attention for the fact that he slammed the desk. He's gonna use these 30 seconds to calm down a little bit and listen to me while I'm saying, and I'm gonna use those 30 seconds to actually get what I want to say and call the next round, right? Sometimes I wanted, like, I never did this, but I was thinking about it, like, in some rough situation, to do something so radical to get myself disqualified from the match live.
Dude, he's like, he's actually for real trying to do, you know, where like the NBA coach, like there's nothing left. You just get yourself tossed from the game. Like, that's the only. He's actually trying to do that in CS:GO. I love it. I
tried it. I thought about it. Like, I'm gonna fucking jump and I'm gonna take the headsets and slam them into the fucking crowd and start jumping on them, like something to get me disqualified. I'm gonna fucking push the admin or whatever, right? Like, get in admin's face.
Just in the admin's face. You motherfucker, what are you doing? Like,
yeah, something. Like, not towards my players, but towards the admin. Like, you know, just show a middle finger to the admin or something like that. Get me out of the game. To get them going. I was thinking about it, but then I don't know how that would be a fucking.
It would have been glorious, but you
penalize this team like by rounds or something.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
I was thinking about it, but like I said, like slamming the desk, all this shit, it's like very, very like I'm for it. I'm not against it. Like, just sitting there, like you said, like a little bitch. It's just, you know, passive aggressive. It's not the way.